transit component. The things that we really look at are creating a little more of a compact urban environment, so we can encourage a little higher density around the hubs. Allows you to have integration of land uses, a mix of land uses, so you can bring together office, hotel, mixed use, housing, and so forth, making sure that everything within that area is within easy walk, and you've really thought about how the pedestrians get to your destinations that can encourage other development to happen. And then start to look at opportunities for new construction, redevelopment in the area or itself. And another key element in getting all that to happen is to make sure that you're also looking at providing quality infrastructure. And you're already doing that downtown with your MAP 3 plan. But to make sure that this hub, wherever it is well integrated with that quality infrastructure in terms of creating accessible and shaded sidewalks, public spaces, and so forth, where the transit hub really becomes part of the community and connected to the community through that infrastructure. So we'll change pace a little bit here and look at a few other intermodal centers around the country, some that are close and some that are overseas, and talk a little bit about the modes that are accessed through those facilities. This is a fairly new facility, say fairly new, it's about 10 years old, in Fort Worth. It was adjacent to an existing Amtrak station that was moved to this facility. And they used the hub to integrate Amtrak with Greyhound, the local bus system, the Trinity Railway Express, which is the commuter rail that connects Dallas and Fort Worth, comes to this location. So you've got that transfer between Amtrak and the local commuter rail system, the bus system. And it includes quite a bit of office space that's also used for community events and a small amount of retail within the facility. It's located right on the edge of downtown. The facility was kind of built about 3 blocks from the core downtown, with nothing but a sea of parking lots in between. The city is now going back in and making that pedestrian connection happen and putting in some quality infrastructure to connect downtown to this from a pedestrian standpoint, which is starting to cause some interest in development immediately around this facility from a transit-oriented development standpoint. This is Dallas Union Station. You may recognize this one. This was the historic rail depot in Dallas. It was not used for years other than as an Amtrak stop, where back in 1996, Dallas Area Rapid Transit brought in their light rail system here. The TRE, Trinity Railway Express, that connects Dallas with Fort Worth, terminates here. And then the facility itself, the building shown here, also accommodates ticketing, some amount of retail, and is a grand event space that's used for a lot of public events that people arrive here on transit. There is also the Hyatt Hotel that's also immediately adjacent to this. This is showing an aerial of that. This is the Amtrak platform, commuter rail platform, and then the light rail platform. So here you can see the light rail vehicle. It's actually connected underground through a tunnel into Union Station that goes on across the freight tracks, and the Hyatt Hotel is just up here off the image. The Union Station is essentially the bookend of downtown. To the east of here is really the core of downtown, so it's very well connected to downtown. Sacramento tells a little bit of a different story. The image on the lower right is the historic Union Station in Sacramento that now accommodates Amtrak, the light rail system, the Gold Line, the local bus system, Greyhound, quite a bit of joint development that is being developed now. And high-speed rail is coming into this location. And this is something that we have to consider with the hub here as well, is how do we accommodate high-speed rail in the future? And the way they've done that, I think is very unique. Even though they had some trouble with it. That original depot is located here. The high-speed rail corridor is about 2 blocks away. So they had the problem of how do we connect high-speed rail, which they couldn't really get there because their light rail line is coming right through here. They couldn't get it close enough. So what they're doing is they're going with an infill plan, phased infill. They're bringing in a bus facility located along here that starts to connect, and pedestrian facility that starts to connect high-speed rail with the historic Union Depot. And then the next phase is to actually infill with mixed-use development and bring an overhead pedestrian bridge that goes through a retail development and ties it directly into the Union Station. So even though it's 2 blocks away, you now have passenger amenities along that connection between there, which really makes it to be a very nice environment, or will be, that connects the high-speed rail mode with all the other modes that are actually in the Union Station facility. And this is the view of the high-speed rail station in Quebec. Right here, that's connected into the Union Station through pedestrian connections and that retail. This is an intermodal connection between California High-Speed Rail and BART that is essentially the interface for the San Francisco airport. Caltrain and San Trans buses also connect here. I think the reason we put this in here is just to show the use of a mezzanine to connect the platforms, which are down below, with ticketing up above that ties it back to buses at the street level. So we have to be thinking about how we get people across the tracks, over and back down, and so forth, and grade separating some of those functions. But this one's a little more unique. This is Strasbourg, France, where they used an existing terminal, an historic train depot, which you can see behind the glass shell. But to create the retail environment and the pedestrian environment, they essentially covered that building with a glass shell that's starting to provide all the other connections. So you can see the old depot here, the old train sheds in back, where the high-speed rail comes in, the glass shell that also then connects down below to a subway system down below, other taxis and so forth out in front. So it was a very unique approach, and we're just trying to give you different examples here of really how to take something in an urban environment and expand it, even though you might be dealing with an historic structure here. Another sample from France. The main point here is that their main concourse, this is also an existing historic train station that they added concourses to. And here you can see the retail environment that starts to happen around the passenger facilities and the ticketing. So as people are waiting for a train or waiting to transfer to another mode, it's very much like an airport. You have accessibility to retail passenger services and so forth that really needs to be part of the overall concept. Okay, now we're going to come back to Oklahoma City and let Doug talk to you about some of the local issues.
The gentleman that had drawn the architectural plans had proposed a series of enclosures, much like that right there. So I thought he might see that as an interesting case study and what we could do or might do or envision doing in Oklahoma City. So what are the existing conditions? I think we're in a unique and exciting time in Oklahoma City right now, as you all know. As planners, we like to have a base sheet, and I guess all of us are about the same, as you kind of want to know where you're starting. Where am I starting? What is my base sheet? And as we started to think about, okay, what can we say we know in Oklahoma City, we started listing all the projects or plans that are ongoing right now. Streetcars and downtown circulators, convention center studies, a regional commuter rail study. All of those things are either happening or about to happen in Oklahoma City right now, and all of them will have an impact on the hub study. And just as importantly, the hub and its location will have an impact on them. So it's a monumental task to start building our base sheet. But clearly, one big part of the base sheet is the city's core-to-shore development plan. In this location, the city is talking about large investments into the future. So a hub study absolutely needs to see that part of their community and envision it being more like that in the future. And that's kind of the base sheet that we're working from. What else is going on? Well, regional commuter lines to Edmond and Norman. We're starting to think about, okay, how do we bring those commuters into downtown, and how do we disperse them through a hub, and where would they be coming from, and how could we deal with that? Amtrak, right now, Allan showed pictures of driving, or of the Fort Worth station. I've done that. I've been on the Heartland Flyer and have exited right there at that Fort Worth station. But right now, there's plans that Amtrak is going to go north up to Newton, Kansas. And that is pretty much a done deal. I don't know the timing on it exactly, but it'll connect to the broader east-west line on Amtrak and suddenly provide a whole lot of passenger rail service throughout the Southwest and Midwest through Oklahoma City. Another impact. High-speed rail. Right now, ODOT is starting the process of studying high-speed rail and how to get from Oklahoma City to Tulsa. Oklahoma City is a part of the South Central corridor down here, and that's only one of 11 approved or designated high-speed rail corridors across the country. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, one of 11 in 50 states is a pretty big deal. And so our state government and ODOT and the high-speed rail advocacy groups have done a great job of positioning Oklahoma to be a player in that, and what